Hey guys, it's Tristan here from ZebraInvest, and today I'm sitting down with Simon from Funded Finance, and we're going to go through how you can use lease options and creative finance to secure different types of deal. So why don't you go off? Because I think you've done a lease option, and I've dabbled. I've done an exchange with delayed completions, I've done everything else under the sun, but as yet to get a lease option across the line. So I'll hand it over to you.
Right. Here we go.
One might be useful. How are you going to fund them?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those who aren't particularly sure, a PLO, so it's a purchase lease option. It's the right to buy, but not the obligation. So effectively what you're looking to do is put yourself in a position where you've got the right to buy. Suggest that you get the PLO done by a solicitor. Don't pick one straight off the internet. It needs to be individually done.
And you need someone who's going to understand it, because if you get one side that doesn't have a Scooby,
yes,
and the other side is like saying options, you're like, what on earth?
Yes, totally. And then because the solicitor's done it, it's done under their PI insurance, so you have some legal cover if there are issues with it further down the line. And the reason you want to do that is because of the way it's going to get structured. So typically with a purchase lease option, if you can push it out as far as you can, so 3 to 5 years if possible, so effectively it allows you maybe to slightly overbuy or overpay at this point in time. But you're looking then if you can add value. So what we've been able to do creatively on a number of circumstances. So in particular, an 8-bed HMO. So a particular person had taken it over. It was tired. It needed uplifting. It needed the rent increasing. It needed new tenants. And they'd agreed a purchase price of £375,000 on this purchase lease option. 8-bed HMO. And all day long, when I'd had a look at it, I knew that it should value somewhere in the region of 500,000 once finished. Woo-hoo. So the trick here was, to effectively, it's like a remortgage again in reverse. So effectively, what we were able to do is get a lender on board who was happy to lend not just on the purchase price, but on the end value. So valuer goes in. Value comes back and values up at 500,000, beg your pardon. Lender is happy to lend 75% of that.
Of the end value? Of
the end value of the 500,000. That's a loan of 375,000. In this particular circumstance, the lender would like or wanted to have some, what they call hurt money in the deal. So that was effectively the buyer's refurbishment costs, but those refurbishment costs had been funded through rent that had been received in rental profit. So they hadn't actually put their own money in the deal, although it might have been presented in a certain way that portrayed that some of their money had gone into the deal. So lender lent on the back end £375,000 to buy a property where the purchase lease option
was for the same purchase price.
Was for 375.
So that's as you were saying. It's a buy, refurbish, refinance, almost in reverse.
Always in reverse.
On the day you bought it, it's already done up.
Yeah.
But actually, you've done all the work before.
Indeed, and they were particularly creative. So if you're particularly creative at doing the work, so maybe doing some of the works yourself, they'd only spent £40,000 doing this property up. So effectively, they got into the deal with £40,000. Some of that money was actually borrowed using hire purchase and leasing to fund the kitchen and the bathrooms. So it was very creatively funded. I didn't actually do that particular part of the funding. So effectively they did it with virtually none of their own money to get into the deal, and completed with no deposit money to kind of come out on the deal, and held the lease for 2.5 years, just over 2.5 years.
So usually would you say that, for a refurbishment period or the period in between holding it, you kind of like to drag it out as long as possible?
If we can, because in an ideal world, yes, you can add value, but your capital appreciation also helps add value. So if your area is maybe growing at 4 or 5% per annum, 2 or 3 years of that 4 or 5% is going to give you half the equity growth that we're hoping to get from it. But also that plus the refurb, adding the extra equity gain in, will hopefully take you to where you need to go.
Yeah. All right then. So when it comes to it, how would you borrow when you buy? So do they just need someone like you who's a bit of a whiz, or?
Absolutely. There are very few lenders out there that will do this. Very, very few lenders out there that will do this. So in terms of lenders on my book, and I've got strategic relationships with all of the challenger banks out there that can do this kind of thing, I've probably got 2 or 3 lenders I can go to that will allow you to go straight into this. Otherwise, typically, quite often your average broker might set this up with a bridge in the middle to start with and then go to your exit lender, but that does add an extra layer of cost. Me, the broker, I get paid twice, which is great, but probably not so great for you guys. Typically if you can source out someone who's creative, maybe like myself, I can
Alright.
help you structure it.
Well, thank you very much, Simon, for sitting down and chatting us through lease options and how you can actually get funding and buy them at the end of it. If anyone does have any questions for him, you can reach out to Simon. I'll put his details in the description below. But if you, hopefully you like this video, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, please do, and drop a comment in the below. Cheers, bye.